Welcome to History Explained, where we illuminate the past to better understand our present. I'm your guide to your daily journey through the past to empower the future. Today is Thursday, June 26, 2025. As we do every Thursday, we're exploring a fascinating cultural practice that has profoundly influenced human civilization. Today, we turn our attention to the Renaissance, one of the most transformative cultural movements in European history. Spanning roughly from the 14th to the 17th centuries, the Renaissance marked a dramatic shift from medieval traditions toward humanism, scientific inquiry, and artistic innovation that would reshape Western civilization. What makes the Renaissance particularly remarkable is how it represented a fundamental change in how humans viewed themselves and their place in the world. This cultural revolution emphasized individual achievement, classical learning, and the pursuit of knowledge that continues to influence our modern understanding of art, science, and human potential. So let's explore this extraordinary period of cultural transformation, examining its origins in Italy, its spread across Europe, its revolutionary impact on art and learning, and its lasting influence on Western civilization. The Renaissance, meaning rebirth in French, began in 14th century Italy as a conscious effort to revive the learning and artistic achievements of ancient Greece and Rome. This movement emerged from the unique conditions of Italian city-states, which had grown wealthy through trade and banking. Medieval Europe had largely lost contact with classical texts and artistic traditions, but Italian scholars began rediscovering Greek and Roman manuscripts, often preserved in Byzantine libraries or Islamic translations. This recovery of ancient knowledge sparked new interest in classical philosophy, literature, and art. The movement was also influenced by the rise of wealthy merchant families who could afford to patronize artists and scholars. The Medici family in Florence, for example, supported figures like Michelangelo and sponsored the creation of libraries and academies that became centers of Renaissance learning. Humanism became the Renaissance's defining intellectual movement. Unlike medieval scholasticism, which focused on religious doctrine, humanism emphasized human dignity, individual achievement, and the study of classical texts. Humanists like Petrarch and Erasmus promoted education in grammar, rhetoric, history, poetry, and moral philosophy. This shift in thinking had profound implications. Rather than viewing humans as fallen creatures awaiting salvation, Renaissance thinkers celebrated human potential and creativity. This new perspective encouraged artistic experimentation, scientific inquiry, and individual expression. Renaissance art underwent revolutionary changes that broke dramatically with medieval traditions. Medieval art had been primarily religious and symbolic, following established conventions rather than naturalistic representation. Renaissance artists sought to capture the natural world with unprecedented accuracy and beauty. The development of linear perspective, pioneered by Brunelleschi and refined by artists like Masaccio, allowed painters to create convincing three-dimensional spaces on flat surfaces. This technical innovation transformed painting from symbolic representation to realistic depiction. Leonardo da Vinci embodied the Renaissance ideal of the universal man, who excelled in multiple fields. His notebooks reveal interests spanning anatomy, engineering, astronomy, and botany, while his artistic masterpieces like the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper demonstrate technical mastery and psychological insight. Michelangelo's sculptures, particularly the David and the Pietà, combined classical Greek and Roman influences with Christian themes, creating works of unprecedented emotional power and technical skill. His frescoes in the Sistine Chapel represent one of art history's greatest achievements. Renaissance architecture, led by figures like Brunelleschi and Alberti, revived classical elements like columns, arches, and domes while creating new harmonious proportions. The Dome of Florence Cathedral, engineered by Brunelleschi, demonstrated both technical innovation and aesthetic achievement. The period also saw revolutionary advances in science and technology. The Renaissance emphasis on observation and experimentation challenged medieval reliance on ancient authorities and religious doctrine. This new approach laid the groundwork for the scientific revolution. Nicolaus Copernicus proposed that the Earth orbited the Sun, challenging the geocentric model that had dominated medieval thought. While his theory wasn't widely accepted during his lifetime, it began the process of overturning medieval cosmology. Galileo Galilei's telescopic observations provided evidence supporting Copernican theory while revealing previously unknown celestial phenomena. His emphasis on mathematical description of natural phenomena established principles that would guide modern science. The printing press, invented by Johannes Gutenberg around 1440, revolutionized the spread of Renaissance ideas. Books became cheaper and more widely available, allowing knowledge to spread rapidly across Europe. The printing revolution democratized learning and accelerated cultural change. Renaissance literature produced works that continue to influence world culture. Dante's Divine Comedy, written in vernacular Italian rather than Latin, made literature accessible to broader audiences while exploring themes of human nature and spiritual development. Shakespeare's plays and sonnets demonstrated the Renaissance fascination with human psychology and individual character. His works explored complex themes of love, power, ambition, and mortality that resonated with Renaissance concerns about human nature and destiny. The Renaissance spread from Italy to Northern Europe, where it took on distinctive characteristics. Northern Renaissance artists like Jan van Eyck and Albrecht Dürer combined Italian innovations with their own traditions of detailed observation and religious devotion. Northern humanists like Erasmus and Thomas More applied Renaissance principles to social criticism and religious reform. Their works challenged corruption in the Catholic Church and promoted educational reform, contributing to the Protestant Reformation. The Renaissance had profound political implications. The period saw the rise of stronger centralized monarchies and the development of modern diplomatic practices. Renaissance political theorists like Niccolò Machiavelli analyzed power relationships with unprecedented realism. Machiavelli's The Prince examined political power without reference to religious or moral constraints, focusing instead on effectiveness and pragmatic success. This approach shocked contemporaries but influenced political thinking for centuries. The Renaissance also transformed education. Humanist educators established new curricula emphasizing classical languages, literature, and rhetoric. These educational reforms produced generations of leaders trained in classical learning and humanistic values. Renaissance universities became centers of learning that attracted students from across Europe. The exchange of ideas in these institutions contributed to the period's intellectual dynamism and cultural innovation. The movement's impact on women was complex. While Renaissance culture generally maintained traditional gender roles, some women achieved unprecedented prominence. Figures like Isabella d'Este became influential patrons of the arts, while Christine de Pizan wrote works defending women's intellectual capabilities. The Renaissance also saw the development of new artistic techniques and materials. Oil painting, developed in Northern Europe, allowed for greater detail and subtlety than traditional tempera. New pigments and techniques expanded artists' possibilities for expression. Renaissance music underwent similar transformations. Composers like Josquin des Prez and Palestrina developed new polyphonic techniques that created more complex and emotionally expressive compositions. The period saw the emergence of secular music alongside traditional religious compositions. The Renaissance's emphasis on individual achievement and classical learning influenced European culture for centuries. The period established patterns of artistic patronage, scientific inquiry, and humanistic education that continued into the modern era. The Renaissance also contributed to European expansion and colonization. Renaissance interest in geography and navigation, combined with technological innovations, facilitated the voyages of discovery that connected Europe with the Americas and Asia. However, the Renaissance also had darker aspects. The period saw increased persecution of minorities, the growth of slavery, and the beginning of European colonialism. The same humanism that celebrated individual achievement often excluded women, minorities, and non-Europeans from its benefits. The Renaissance's legacy continues to influence modern culture. Our emphasis on individual creativity, scientific progress, and classical education all trace back to Renaissance innovations. Museums worldwide display Renaissance art as the foundation of Western artistic achievement. Contemporary debates about education often reference Renaissance humanistic ideals, while modern science builds on methods developed during this period. The Renaissance vision of human potential continues to inspire artistic and intellectual achievement. The Renaissance demonstrates how cultural movements can fundamentally transform human societies. By recovering classical learning, celebrating human achievement, and promoting artistic innovation, the Renaissance created new possibilities for human development that continue to influence our world today. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of the Renaissance. Tomorrow, we'll be back with our economic milestones, episode examining the Dutch tulip mania and its lessons about speculative bubbles and market psychology. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. What aspects of Renaissance culture do you find most influential or relevant today? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, I'm your guide for History Explained, where we believe that understanding yesterday is the key to navigating tomorrow.